From Ministries of Speed Formula 1 F1 2018 on the PS4 platform. And it looks like we are running round 18 today, Circuit of the Americas. And this is going to be the Freedom Grand Prix, and we're going to call it that for now because Ministries of Speed, if nobody's familiar with that, that is run by a gentleman named Johnny Rivas, who has taken some personal time away from the league. He tries to take care of some personal matters, so I'll be filling in for him for the next few rounds. And Johnny always seems to give the Grand Prix a goofy name. There was the Singapore Sling Grand Prix, which was actually one that I was a part of back a few rounds ago. I believe it was round 14, Singapore Sling. Last week was the last round out was the Jap Slap Grand Prix. So we're going to call this one the Freedom Grand Prix, but it's round 18, Circuit of the Americas. And it looks like we've got rain for qualifying. 8 drivers in so far for round 18, and we're going to go over that here just a little bit. I'm just trying to get things up and running here. Nobody out on the track yet. I don't think anybody was expecting rain for qualifying. Looks like one of the cars is getting ready to leave. Got a couple other ones getting ready to go out now. Looks like that might have been one of the Saubers. Full wets on Jamie Dodger's Sauber. Looks like that was the first one that was leaving the pits on his outlap. Bear with me just 1 second here, everybody. I came into this late. We've already got a caution in Sector 1. And some oversteer there for Jamie Dodger. Alright, so let's get into this. I was coming into this a little late. I'm feeling a little under the weather, and as I said before, it was kind of last minute. We put this together throughout the course of this week for Johnny Rivas, filling in for him as we continue to watch Jamie Dodger here on his first outlap. So, a lot of guys are probably a little familiar with the work that I do. I commentate for SRL and IRL. That is the Sandro Racing League and the International Racing League. I do both of those. I guest commentated with Johnny back in Singapore, and he seemed to enjoy it. And we thought maybe since Johnny was taking some personal time that I would fill in for him. So here I am filling in for Johnny. And we certainly wish him the best of luck in his endeavors right now, trying to take care of some personal matters. So hopefully he'll be back in a few weeks. If not, definitely be back for next season as this one winds down. And as this one winds down, Jamie Dodger's going to start the first hot lap. I got a caution in Sector 3. But let's run down the points as of right now, because mathematically, I mean, Finish Boy and Anthony Johnson, that's Fanario, have both, which are both in the field today, they've both pulled away from the pack for this year. Finish Boy is, as his name indicates, Finish. And I cannot do his name any justice, so I am not even going to try to pronounce it. I believe his first name is Ansi. But we're just going to go with Finish Boy. It's not a clear-cut Finnish name like Mika Hakkinen or Kimi Räikkönen. It's something well beyond my capabilities and my vernacular. So, Finish Boy is your points leader with 350 points. Fanario is Anthony Johnson. He's in second with 304. Eric Garcia pulling up the other Red Bull in third with 228. So while they are all contending for the World Drivers' Championship, Red Bull did lock up the Constructors' Championship last time out of Japan. So congratulations to them. That is their first Constructors' Championship in the Ministries of Speed F1 League. As we continue to watch Jamie Dodger on what is going to be his first hot lap. Times are very slow, full wets. He's already had some issues on his out lap trying to keep the car on the track. You see a little bit of oversteer there. You can definitely see there's a little bit of a racing line, but it's definitely raining way too hard to even try and switch over to intermediates. Now with MOS, unlike IRL or SRL, the other two leagues that I commentate for, these guys go full on. This is going to be full 3-round qualifying. No knockouts, unfortunately, because there's only 8 cars right now. But full 3 rounds of qualifying, full 100% race. That's a little different, as Jamie Dodger does come across the line, set the first time at a 1:53.779. So he has set the standard. We're going to pick up the Renault of Rosta, and that is Ryan Wingate. He's also on full lets. As we see, Donnie Staubitz, the other Renault, has gone second quickest at a 1:55.069, but Anthony Johnson just toppled that by 2 seconds over Jamie Dodger, 1:51.845. Wingate's going to come across the line, but he must have invalidated his time at some point. Nothing there. Jeremy Pope in the McLaren, coming off of a 3rd place finish today in IRL. He participated in the International Racing League's Group 4 at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. Had a little trouble with the sand trap at turn 1, cost him a couple of positions, but still came home with a podium finish. And he is your current points leader. That was the 2nd round for International Racing League in Group 4 on Gran Turismo Sport today. He won the 1st round. He goes 3rd quickest at a 1:54.498. So he's proven to be fast in the hoops. We've seen him struggle a little bit in F2 in the International Racing League and here on MOS in the Formula 1 car. So open cockpit is not his forte. He's definitely better in the tin tops, as some of you guys would call them. 3rd quickest so far. Still waiting. This Finnish boy's still in the pits working on his setup. Meanwhile, Ryan Wingate coming down the backstretch here into the braking zone. And the times are so much slower right now. Oh, and a snap oversteer. You can see him sawing at the wheel, trying to keep the car under control. Trying to get that power down on these full wets. Way outside. He's out on the paint where the curbs are. It can be a little slippery out there. Tries to gingerly get back on the throttle there. Oh, he's going to run very wide there. That is probably going to invalidate the lap time. 4 off in that corner. We'll see what happens as he comes across the line here. Last corner. It's a tough corner here. A lot of guys go 4 off there in the dry. And Ryan Wingate, 1:54.009, good enough for 4th quickest. And Bro Wilson, 1:57.773, as Johnny used to like to call him. So the only guys we're waiting to see a time from is Robert CCS, which I believe is Robert Corobo, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Oh no, and the Force India is off of Brother Bro Wilson. That's going to be some wing damage there on the right front end plate for sure. And we see Finnish boy is still in the pits. And Robert now trying to get going in the McLaren. Looks like he might have had a spin. Nine minutes remaining in the Q1. And just to clarify, Bro Wilson, that is Dennis Graham. So we continue to watch Robert here try and set a time, but I think he's going to be, this is going to be technically an outlap, 4 minute sector 3 time, so see what kind of time he can set. And nobody has been able to touch Anthony Johnson's time. That's a 1:51.845, and it looks like Robert's going to head into the pits. Donnie Staubitz we haven't talked about yet, but he's in the other factory Renault, 1:53.565. Good time for him, but still 2 seconds off of Anthony Johnson's provisional pole time of a 1:51. Oh, and it looked like Jamie Dodger there was struggling with some oversteer again in the S's. Up, and he has gone around. So Jamie Dodger still struggling with some oversteer as he tries to get the car back on track. We'll pick up Donnie Staubitz Stowitz looks like he's setting a good time in Sector 2. He's 0.8 up on his best time. That would drop him into the 152 range, but he would still be a full second off of Anthony Johnson's time in the Red Bull. So really fast time set by Anthony Johnson. 7:30 left to play in Q1. Now, the one thing we can say about with the wet weather is that these guys, if Q2 stays wet, which it looks like it's going to, these guys are going to have free range of tire strategy when it comes to race time. So they could go all soft, all hard, however they want to do it. So the pace during the race, if the race is dry, could be extremely quick because these guys would have an extra set of tires to run on, an extra set of soft tires at that. When I mean soft, I mean whatever the softest compound is that they've brought with them this weekend. Could be super softs, could be ultras. And Donnie Stolbert's 151.910 picked up a lot of time in Sector 3. He was 0.8 up at Sector 2, 151.910, almost gets that top spot taken away from Anthony Johnson. So a good run by Donnie Stolbert. We ride along with him here through the S's. A little bit of counter steer at the top of the hill. That's a really hard corner even in the dry. It's an off-camber left-hander. Really wants to push you wide. And there's just a little hump at the top of that corner there. Wants to create a little bit of oversteer when you go over that hump, kind of like at Belle Isle, heading out of turn 3. If anybody watches IndyCar will know what I'm talking about. So Anthony Johnson coming back out on an outlap. And Finnish boy and Robert Karobo, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Still yet to set a time. Got a caution in Sector 3. You see one of the McLarens there. That would have been Robert. He's on another outlap. Oh, and Donnie Stolbert cuts the grass, and that blows that corner, so he's going to head into the pits. So we'll pick up Robert, who looks like he's going to try and attempt a hot lap this time by. So Robert's going to come across the line, start his first official hot lap. Looks like one of the Salvers is coming out of the garage. It's going to be Jamie Dodger, who has so far set the third fastest time, but he's really been struggling for grip, trying to muster out that 153.779 that he's run so far. Ooh, and look at this. Robert's already struggling with some understeer. Looks like he cut that corner very wide coming out of that next one. Looks like Jamie was struggling as well. Through the S's. Oh, big lockup on that left front. Hard on the brakes as he tries to make that left-hander, and he put him on the backstretch. Now, Jamie can play a little game here because he can get a little bit of a slipstream off of Robert's car. And is Jamie on intermediates? He is on intermediates. Jamie Dodger's going to try intermediates. And he's on an outlap right now as we continue to watch Robert. Oh, and look at the back end kick out on Robert's McLaren. Robert was struggling for grip all over the place. It's hard to tell if the gap that's closing between him and Jamie Dodger is because of Dodger being on the intermediates, or Robert's just struggling that much with his car setup right now. Caution in sector 3. Jamie Dodger almost loses the back end of his car. Robert's going to come across the 6th quickest with a 1:55.448. We're going to pick up Jamie Dodger and see what kind of time he's going to run on the intermediates. He's the only driver currently on track with the intermediates. Now, Finish Boy, it is listed as him being on intermediates, even though he is still in the pits. Must still be working on possibly a setup. Hop on board with Dodger. And he is close enough to Robert. Now, I'm not sure Robert's going to try another time. Oh, no, and there's contact. Oh, that's unfortunate for Dodger. I think Dodger was trying to get out of the way, and I think Jamie was trying to use him to pick up a little bit of slipstream, maybe give him a better time. And it looks like that was Anthony Johnson's going to be coming through to split these two. So that's an unfortunate series of events right there. But I'm pretty sure that's what was happening. I think Dodger wanted to try and use Robert as a slipstream to get a little bit of extra speed. And I think Robert at the same time was trying to get out of the way because he knew he wasn't going to be as fast as the Salver. And you can see him continue to struggle, even though right now he is 6th quick as he pulls off into the grass. That's the Ferrari go by of Finish Boy, and he is officially out on track. He's on the intermediates in Sector 3. And it looks like he's got some really good pace. Scuderia Ferrari with a bright red helmet, very Schumacher-esque. Comes out of the last corner. That's going to be a pretty good time. 1:49.494 crushes Anthony Johnson's time of 1:51.845. And does it with 30 seconds remaining in the first qualifying session. So Finish Boy worked on his setup for the better part of this whole session. Comes out, does one lap, goes quickest, and that is essentially going to end the session. And Jamie Dodger has retired from the session. So Q1 is going to come to an end, and Jamie Dodger looks like he is done 4th quickest with a 1:51.910. Now, what's going to be really unfortunate for him is if this water and rain dry up, then he would drop from 4th quickest to dead last. So hot laps still count. Pick up Anthony Johnson in Sector 2. And we pick up Rosta. That's Ryan Wingate. He's 8/10 up on his best time. So that would put him above Jamie Dodger. Anthony Johnson's 3/10 up on his previous best time. But that's not going to be quick enough to catch Finish Boy's 1:49. And it sounds like he might be off the throttle at this point, so he's going to call this a session. Finish Boy heads in, Robert heads in. Ryan Wingate will be the only car left out on track, and it looks like he's going to dive into the pits as well. So that is going to end Q1. Currently, Finish Boy at the top of the charts, which is where he has spent most of the season. As we talked earlier, he is the championship points leader, 350 points versus Anthony Johnson's 304. And Eric Garcia pulling in 3rd for Red Bull, 228, but Eric Garcia is not here, so this is definitely going to affect him. Could mathematically put him out for the rest of the season if he's not going to make this race. But Finish Boy and Anthony Johnson have been really going blow for blow most of this year. as far as the points battle goes. And props to Finish Boy. I want to give him a little bit of a shout out as we take a look here at the Q1 results. Finish Boy at top, followed by Anthony Johnson, Dottie Stalvich, Jamie Dodger, Ryan Wingate, Jeremy Pope, Robert Corobo, and Brother Bro Wilson, Dennis Graham, rounding out your 8 drivers so far. And I do, like I said, I want to throw a shout out to Finish Boy for helping me out this week. He's been emailing me some of the stats and point standings so that I could be a little bit prepared for this race coming into this. Obviously, I've only done one race this year for this group, and that was really as a guest commentating spot with Johnny, as he usually took the helm for all of this group. So, but if you want to know more about this league, be sure to check him out. You can check out the YouTube page. It's actually 6 Gun Johnny, so be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to that. Check out their previous videos. He's got a lot of practice videos that's held throughout the week. He's got all the Grand Prix on there. He also does a lot of stuff with GTE and LMP cars for project cars too. He also does an Australian V8 cars league, which unfortunately we're not going to be able to keep up with in his absence. But we're definitely going to keep up with the Formula 1 league. Is going to be the main priority. And we're going to try and do the GTE LMP categories for project cars too. So the rain is still coming down here, Q2. It's going to be a 15-minute session here. Doesn't look like anybody's taking the time to alter their setup. They do use Parc Fermé rules, so not much difference you can make. Slight variations in the wind and maybe tire temperature, but other than that, Finish Boy's immediately going to go out on the intermediates. Now, what I want to know is the Finish Boy chose to do a wet setup for qualifying, because if the race is dry and he's still in a wet setup, that could cost him race pace. But everybody immediately hits the outlap. The only ones left in the pits is Donnie Stallbitz and Jeremy Pope. Oh, Ryan Wingate sliding the back end out on the Renault. And it looks like some of these guys are switching over to the intermediates. In fact, everybody's out on the intermediates this time by, so it looks like Finish Boy was the trendsetter. He ran that one hot lap of 149 in the qualifying session 1. He did that on intermediates. Everybody else was pretty much on full wets. So coming around to finish this out lap, we've got a caution in sector 3. And while we have a moment here, like I said, I want to thank Finish Boy for getting me all the results throughout the course of this year that we can talk about a little bit later in the qualifying session or during the race. And I really want to thank the guys as a whole, the group, for letting me do this for them. There was a big concern with Johnny about what's going on with him as to when he would be back, and they really wanted to finish their year. It's round 18. They're so close to it being done, and they wanted to get this season finished before F1 2019 really comes out. And obviously they would kick off next season. Now I know IRL and SRL have both wrapped up, so it left me some free time to do it. So everything kind of fell into place for me to try and fill in for Johnny while he was out. And if Johnny comes back, I mean, I'd be more than happy to step aside and let him have the booth back. But for right now, I want to fill in. But I really want to thank the guys for letting me do this for them, and I'm sure they're appreciative on their end. So definitely a lot of work together here as we watch Finish Boy on his first hot lap. Caution in sector 3 again. A little bit of a lock up there on the left front. And that's pretty common for that area. Coming down the hill, and that's a left-hander in that corner. You can see the sun poking through the clouds. It's only that one spot, but looks like the rain is actually starting to subside a little bit. And with everybody being on intermediates, the times are obviously going to drop. The track's going to get faster. Finish Boy took that corner really well. He diamonded that out really nice. Had a good run coming out of that corner. Set him up for this next series, this triple right-hander. Oh, runs a little wide there. That was pretty close to 4 off. And Ryan Wingate sets the first time with a 148. Finish Boy comes across the line 147.4, second and a half faster over Ryan Wingate's time. Anthony Johnson currently on an out lap. Pick up Jeremy Pope here in the McLaren. Jeremy, we talked about earlier, he races for IRL in 3 different leagues. He does the International Racing League Group 3 category for IRL on Gran Turismo Sport. He does the Group 4 category, which we recently kicked off last week for Season 2. And he also participated in the F2 League this year on F1 2018. So he's a busy boy running those 3 leagues for IRL and obviously the F1 League here for Ministry of Speed. And it just so happened to be coincidence that I commentated for Singapore and he was participating in the race and no idea. There's actually quite a rivalry between me and my teammate in Gran Turismo and him and his teammate. There's not a lot of love lost there. There's definitely some headbanging going on. There was definitely a lot of headbanging going on last season in Group 3. And it actually caused my teammate to quit as one of the administrators for the league. He still participated as a driver, but he did not participate anymore as an administrator. And the league president made Jeremy the other administrator, so even though we butt heads, we have to work together, which kind of makes for an interesting dynamic. However, the Group 4 season that we kicked off last week on Gran Turismo has been working out really well. We just did Brands Hatch Indy today, which was round 2, and that was actually a really good race. As we see some of the other guys set some times here. Jamie Dodger is going 154.60 for third quickest. Jeremy does come across the line with a 156.08, and Robert comes across 151.597. So the only 2 drivers right now in the 140s is Finish Boy and Ryan Wingate, but we're going to pick up Anthony Johnson because we're all going to be interested to see what kind of time he can set. Like I said, second in the points to Finish Boy. And these guys have been exchanging podiums all year long. 304 points for Anthony Johnson, Fenario. And Jamie Dodger has retired from the session again after he's going 149.4. So it's a good time for Dodger. Becomes the 3rd driver to break into the 140 range. But unfortunately retires from the session again. Not sure if he had an off or if he just decided that 149 is good enough and he's going to take a break for the next 7 minutes and 38 seconds. And Dennis Graham. Oh, look at this. Anthony Johnson at the top of the charts, 146.940. So half a second quicker than Finish Boy. So a good run from him. And in the meantime, Dennis Graham did come across the line at a 2:01.359. So definitely not his best qualifying effort. We saw him struggle in Q1, had a little bit of an off, took out the right front end plate on his wing. So 6:45 left to play in this session. We've got sectors in 2 and 3 with cautions. Graham coming across the line now. He's going to set a better time. He went 8 seconds quicker. That's a 1:52.610, but still 8th fastest. Oh, and Donnie Staubitz takes a little too much curb heading through there as we pick him up at the end of the backstretch, and he almost lost the back end of the car trying to make that left-hander. Now, caution in Sector 3 again. That may have been one of the cars getting out of the way for Donnie Staubitz here. That looks like one of the McLarens. Staubus looks really smooth coming through there, and the rain has cut itself back from a full-on pour to a drizzle, and he does improve his time, but not his position, 150.094. So he does go faster, but it doesn't improve his position at all. So the rain, we're going to hop on board, see if we see any more rain coming down. It looks like the rain has actually stopped. Ah, yes, and I love the red line glitch in this game. For those who aren't familiar, you can obviously see that the car is tacked out in every single gear. That is a nice glitch that Codemasters has never been able to fix for this game, unfortunately. You can see he's gearing down, going slow, and it's still tacked out. Gotta love it. There's the sun. Looks like that opening on the backstretch where the sun's coming through is getting a little larger. The rain has stopped. There's a little bit of spray still coming off the tires. So the question is going to be, is there going to be a crossover change with 4:30 left to play in Q2? Or do the guys wait to see if the track dries out and go full bore in Q3? Pick up Jeremy Pope in his McLaren. He's following Donnie Staubitz. And if memory serves me correct, I believe Donnie Staubitz has a body shop in Buffalo. Johnny, I think, mentioned that a couple times during the Singapore Sling Grand Prix. As I said earlier, he likes to give his Grand Prix some interesting names, so we went ahead and Circuit of the Americas. We called this one the Freedom Grand Prix. Why not? It's America. We all love freedom. Oh no, and Jeremy Pope loses the back end of the car, and like he's struggling with grip. You can definitely see a very pronounced racing line starting to come into play here. The rain has all but stopped at this point. It doesn't look like Jeremy's much on the gas. I mean, obviously he lost a ton of speed. We're going to pick up Robert in the other McLaren, currently 7th quickest. And as the track dries out, the times will drop. .245 left to play in this session. See if anybody heads back out to try and improve their time. And Robert is going to head into the pits. So that leaves Donnie out on track. Donnie Staubitz and Jeremy Pope are the only two drivers left out on track. 2:17 left to play. Staubitz goes very wide there. All four are off. It looks like he is going to head into the pits as well. So that'll leave Jeremy Pope out as the lone car on track. And if I had to take a guess, I got a feeling some of these guys are going to be done with this session. I mean, with times running in the 140 range, we're there now, so everybody's going to dive into the pits. Donnie Staubitz retires from the session inside the pit, so that's going to do it for Q2. We're going to let the clock wind down, 140 left to go. And Anthony Johnson outdoes his rival Finish Boy to top the charts in Q2. So while talking about those two, Anthony Johnson and Finish Boy, I mentioned it earlier a couple times that they've gone back and forth most of this year. Going all the way back to Australia, Anthony Johnson took the first win of the year. Finish Boy came in second that day. Round 2 was Bahrain, where Finish Boy came home second place, so he picked up a podium scenario. Anthony Johnson had come home fourth. And then they swapped spots in China, where Anthony Johnson came home second and Finish Boy came home fourth. So these guys have been going back and forth like this all year. Azerbaijan and Baku, Anthony Johnson comes home second place, Finish Boy third. Spain, Finish Boy wins, Anthony Johnson second. Monaco, Finish Boy comes home first. Anthony Johnson was fourth that race, unfortunately. Canada. Finish Boy comes home third. Anthony Johnson fourth. France, it's Anthony Johnson in third. Finish Boy takes the win. Finish Boy wins in Austria, while Anthony Johnson comes in third. And it just continues like this as you go through this year's rounds. Britain was Finish Boy finishing second. Anthony Johnson was third. Then Finish Boy won in Germany, where Anthony Johnson came home third again. Finally, Anthony Johnson picks up another win at the Hungaroring in Budapest, but Finish Boy was right behind him in second spot. So Q2 is officially done. We're going to head into the 10-minute session of Q3. This one's going to be for all the marbles as you can pick up their pole position. So Anthony Johnson on top, followed by Finish Boy, Ryan Wingate, Donnie Stallbitz, Jamie Dodger, Jeremy Pope, Robert Carobo, and Brother Brewer Wilson, Dennis Graham, rounding out 8 drivers in the varying conditions. You see the sun poking through the clouds again. So Q3 should definitely be interesting. No rain, slightly wet track, and I'm willing to bet somebody's going to try and put a time up on slicks. I think the intermediates are going to be thrown out the window, and it's going to be slicks here. Who's going to have the car control and the pace to set the best time? And you can see no rain. The clouds are starting to break up a little bit. I imagine some of these guys, it's going to be a 12-minute qualifying. So Q3 is 12 minutes. I forgot they changed that a couple years back in Formula One. So the crowd getting into it. So I imagine some of these guys are going to take a couple extra seconds to try and reset their setups here a little bit. Looks like that might be the Ferrari. Looks like Finish Boy is going to be heading out. Here he goes. He is on the Ultra Softs. Right in front of him goes Dennis Graham in the Force India. And looks like everybody is throwing the intermediates out the window. It's going to be dry Q3. And it looks like Dennis Graham is going to let Finish Boy go by. Finish Boy in all red. Red car, red suit, red helmet. The Scarlet Bandit is out on track. And he is looking to add another pole to his tally for this year. And it looks like the track is completely dried out between Q2 and Q3. So this is going to be full bore. DRS slot opened. Everybody's on an outlap right now, but we're going to stick with Finish Boy. Dennis Graham right behind him. Now, Dennis struggled a lot in the wet conditions, so hopefully his setup is going to be more of a dry setup, and that's why he was struggling so much for grip. So hopefully he'll be able to put up a better time than what he was. He was way off the pace in the wet. This will also give you an idea of how much difference there was between dry and wet conditions as far as the times go. As Finish Boy comes out of the last corner and gets set to go on what should be a very quick lap. The top on board with him, he goes to the top of the hill. Caution in Sector 1, lock up in the left front. Tries to get that power down through the S's. Caution in Sector 3. Very smooth for the S's. That is a hard section of this track. Caution in Sector 1, that's probably at the top of the hill at Turn 1. Very smooth on the throttle. Up through the gears, gets a good run. DRS slot's going to be open. Kicks it in high gear, 8th gear, full rich mix. Brakes at the 100-meter mark, turns in, good move. Finish Boy is on a tear this lap, I can tell. Car doesn't look like it's struggling at all. Looks like the balance on this car is perfect. A little bit of a lockup there in the left front. Through the triple right-hander. Last corner, a little bit of puff of smoke out of the left front. Gets the power down DRS slot over 133.710 for Finish Boy compared to his 149 in Q2, so you can see the difference in times. Pick up Anthony Johnson. Anthony Johnson have anything? Jamie Dodger goes across the line, 135.996. Ryan Wingate, 135.461. Anthony Johnson, 134.293. Not fast enough. Donnie Staubitz, though, comes across 135.278. That's third quickest. Pick up Jeremy Pope. So Dennis Graham headed back into the pits. He was right behind Finish Boy for the out lap, headed back into the pits. Doesn't look like he was happy with the setup. He did a little bit of adjustment. You can only do so much to the cars under the par firme rules. The DRS slot open for Jeremy Pope. Fly high, 879 as he heads down the backstretch here. Look at this Finish Boy, 132.993, just to put another knuckle in the back of Anthony Johnson. Finish Boy is taking no prisoners right now in Q3. 6:20 left to play in the session. We're watching Jeremy Pope try and set his time. So far, he's one of two drivers that have yet to set a time. Last corner. Good run out of the last corner. No drama there. And he is going to come across the line here. Seventh quickest, 136.665. So not the best run for Jeremy Pope there. And Robert has gone second quickest. Good for him with a 134.282. That drops Anthony Johnson to third. So good qualifying effort there by Robert Corobo, I believe. And again, if I have my information wrong, please somebody tell me and let me know before the next round. I was thrown into this kind of, I volunteered for it, but Johnny was really good at keeping track of the records and names and all that stuff like that, so we kind of had to piece it together from a couple different sources. So not all the information may be accurate, aside from the standings that I talked about earlier, and I've got a few more to go over throughout the course of the season here. But as far as names and gamer tags, it's probably not 100% accurate, so we're going to pick up Dennis Graham. Dennis Graham's the only driver yet to set a time out in the Force India, the lone Force India. He is in Sector 1. We'll hop on board with him to see how his car is handling. Looks like he's actually struggling with a little bit of snap oversteer. DRS slot open. And actually, he is one of two cars on the track right now. Jamie Dodger's the only other car on the track right now on an out lap. Looks like Anthony Johnson's just now coming out. turn in there from Dennis Graham in that corner. That's a hard left-hander. Now the triple apex right-hander. That's two tight apexes, and that real sweeping third one cuts the corner there. That might cost him. That might invalidate his time. Tries to get the power down. You see the back end kick out a little bit. And yeah, it invalidated his time, so Dennis Graham has still yet to set a time. And he's got 3 minutes and 12 seconds to do it. So we'll pick up Anthony Johnson, who's on his out lap. And does he have anything for the 132.993 set by Finish Boy? In fact, he's the only driver to break into the 132s. Your next closest driver, Roberts, was 134.282, well off the pace. And Anthony Johnson was 134.293. Donnie Staubitz 134.3. So second, third, and fourth covered by less than a tenth of a second, if you can believe that. That is competition at its finest. So Anthony Johnson going to take a crack at Finish Boy. And Finish Boy is just now coming out on an out lap, so he is going to take one more whack at it himself, just in case Anthony Johnson does set a better time. So 2 minutes left to play. Now Johnson will come across the line without any mistakes. Okay, let's throw that little disclaimer in there. He'll come across the line with enough time to run another lap if he wants to try and set pole if he doesn't get it. Finish Boy, on the other hand, is on his out lap. He's going to have one more last-ditch effort to either protect his pole position or get it back from Anthony Johnson. It looks like Anthony Johnson's got a little bit of traffic in front of him, so this is really going to benefit him. This is one of the McLarens. He's going to get a slipstream off of that. But is the McLaren going to get out of his way? He does give way to Anthony Johnson, so Anthony Johnson will definitely pick up a little bit of extra speed on the backstretch from that slipstream. See if that helps him out at all. And Jamie Dodger has gone second quickest, 133.676. So good for Jamie Dodger. That is a great qualifying effort in the Sauber. He struggled a lot in the wet conditions with the handling on the car. Going to caution in Sector 3. 1 minute left to play in this session. And Jamie Dodger's going to call it a day. So 133.676. I guess Dodger thought he's not going to get any better than that. Here comes Anthony Johnson. 134.4. Look at this. Robert comes across the line. 134.2. So Anthony Johnson, he come across the line. He could have ran an extra lap if he wanted to. Doesn't look like he's got anything in it though. So Finish Boy. Does Finish Boy run this lap or does he call it a day? A lot of the guys pulling off to the side. Dennis Graham does manage to set a time of 135.062. That's good enough for sixth quickest. Jeremy Pope, fourth quickest with a 134.292, beats out Anthony Johnson by 1/1000th of a second, drops him to fifth. So qualifying has not gone Anthony Johnson's way. This is not how I foresaw this happening. And Finish Boy is still on a tear as we ride along on board with him. The Scarlet Bandit himself, rocking and rolling. He's coming up to the last corner. .132.493, half a second quicker than his previous time. And that is just going to be a kick in the groin to the rest of the field. That is some Art Senna-etched time right there. Destroying the field by a second and a half. That is impressive. And as they say in the world of Formula One or even motorsports, if you want to win, you better get a fin. And Finish Boy is proving that this season. And he is still on a tear. No reason for him to be on a tear right now. Time is up. Anthony Johnson being pushed back into the pits. And that has got to be a disappointing qualifying session. 3rd through 5th, though, and actually 3rd through 6th, covered by a couple tenths of a second. So the midfield battle could be really interesting to watch. Disappointing outing for Jeremy Pope. Unbelievable qualifying session by Finish Boy. And it looks like we do have Dark Knight 99. I'm not 100% sure who that is, but he has joined in as a 9th driver. So here is your starting order. This is going to be Finish Boy with Jamie Dodger, Robert Carobo, Jeremy Pope, 4th quickest, Anthony Johnson, Donnie Staubitz, Dennis Graham, and Ryan Wingate. And I had my information wrong about Jeremy Pope. That is actually a good qualifying session for Jeremy Pope. It was Ryan Wingate that had a disappointing one, along with Anthony Johnson. So the start of this race should be really interesting to watch. The first stint is definitely going to be something to behold. So that's 3 qualifying sessions down. We're going to go 100% full-length race, which is something I'm not accustomed to. IRL and SRL do 50% races with a short 18-minute qualifying session. So a lot of stuff for me to try and talk about because I don't have a lot of filler because I haven't been with this league at all this year. So I don't have a lot of stuff to talk about if nothing's happening, but I'll try to keep up with the action the best I can. I also am aware that my audio quality is not the best. You can thank Sony and their headset for that. We'll try and work on getting a better headset in the future. But right now, this is what we got, and it's all in the name of Johnny. I want to do it for him. We certainly wish him the best of luck on his endeavors, as we certainly hope to see him back soon as he tries to take care of some personal matters in his life right now. So we wait for the game to load up. Again, I'm not 100% sure who Dark Knight 99 is, but he's clearly a Batman fan. And probably born in 1999. So no formation lap here. 5 red lights. Lights are out. Time to run with Chabrung. The cars are away in a puff of smoke. And they raced at the top of the hill. That's a good start there by the McLaren. Looks like that is, tries to go to the inside. Oh, and Jeremy Pope touches his teammate. Oh, no. That was Robert. No, that was Robert who touched his teammate, Jeremy Pope. And a disqualifying session for Dark Knight parked. What is going on here? And Dark Knight has been disqualified. So as quickly as he showed up, he is gone. We'll pick up the action. Back towards the front, this is Jamie Dodger in pursuit of Finish Boy. So it was Robert that got a lightning start at the beginning of this and went hard inside, made contact with his teammate, and basically Jeremy Pope has gone from 4th to 7th as Anthony Johnson looks to make a move. Trying to get down to the inside of Robert's McLaren. Meanwhile, back at the front, Jamie Dodgers with less than half a second behind Finish Boy. And Anthony Johnson does get around Robert and the McLaren. So Anthony Johnson started from 5th, has now worked his way into 3rd. And Robert's about to lose another position to Dennis Graham, as Graham's trying to go around the outside of the triple apex right-hander. Look at Donnie Staubitz comes out of that corner with a head of steam. Oh, and look at this. Wide goes Graham. Staubitz is going to have a run on him going into the last corner. Finish Boy now stretches out his lead almost to his 2nd on the first lap. We'll hop on board with Dennis Graham. He's all the way to the outside of the front stretch. Jump on board with Donnie Staubitz. He's going to try and get a good run coming out of the top of the hill. Turn 1 down to the S's. And we do have ourselves a pretty good battle here. This is Robert and the McLaren, followed by Dennis Graham, Donnie Staubitz. These 3 cars covered by less than a second. 3-second time penalty for Robert, though, as he cuts the corners. Meanwhile, Jeremy Pope is going to have to change his pit strategy as he's going in to get a new wing and a different set of tires. So Jeremy Pope off the pace. And I'm not sure what has happened here with... Looks like Ryan Widgate's running into some problems. He's stuck in the pits. Looks like his day is going to be done as well. So we started with 9, and we are now down to 7. I'm wondering if Dark Knight had anything to do with Ryan Wingate's issues, because Dark Knight was disqualified for, I think, staying in the box, but he would have started last. So not sure what happened there, and I'm not sure what happened with Wingate. He has chimed in, I believe, on the live chat, so if he could let us know what had happened to him in his race. We watch Dennis Graham here. Dennis Graham still trying to reel in Robert Carobo in the McLaren. Stolpitz has fallen off of the pace there from this battle. Robert gets a good drive off coming out of the top of the hill at turn 1. A 3-second time penalty for Anthony Johnson. And he is going to be struggling. He really wants to get to the front. Oh, and look at that. Robert goes very wide coming out of that corner. Oh, and now Graham goes very wide coming out of that one. So these guys are going full bore all off. That has allowed Donnie Stolpitz to close in the gap now. The DRS is going to be enabled. Anybody have it as they go down the back stretch? Doesn't look like, oh, there you go. Donnie Stolpitz has got his slot open. Watching this battle materialize. This is 4th, 5th, and 6th 3-car battle. I did state that the mid-pack was going to be a very interesting race to watch. So far, that's where all the action is. Jamie Dodger still trying to reel in on a 3-second time penalty for Dennis Graham. Jamie Dodger trying to reel in Finish Boy, and while that's happening, Anthony Johnson is trying to reel in both of them. He wants to get back to the top spot. Time penalties are definitely going to be an issue throughout the course of this race. A lot of guys have already had a number of them. Oh, Ryan Wingate got called to work last minute. Backup guy didn't answer. Must be a 24-hour call job. Sorry to hear that, Ryan. We were looking forward to having you on the grid, but stick with us and you can see all the action unfold as it's happening. Right now we're watching Jamie Dodger getting very close to the DRS range against Finish Boy. Donnie Stolpitz has got the DRS against brother Bro Wilson, Dennis Graham. He's not close enough to make a move right now. Stolpitz actually able to close that gap a little bit within 0.6. Oh, and look at this. Graham runs very wide coming out of that left-hander. And again, to the triple apex right-hander. Donnie gets a good run coming out of that last section of that corner, I should say. He's closed up to the back of him. He's within half a second now. Going to get a good run coming out of there. Graham looks like he struggled a little bit. DRS slot's going to be open on Donnie Stolpitz Renault. To the top of the hill. Moves to the inside. He's not close enough. Gets the power down coming out of that corner. He's going to be all over the gearbox of the Force India. Oh, and he's going to try and make a move to the inside. He's got to be careful here running through the S's. Race control. Jamie Dodger, 3-second time penalty, unfortunately. These guys run nose down. Oh, and Jeremy Pope has left the session. He must have had an off somewhere. Either that or he decided to call it quits. He was about 30 seconds behind all the action from his opening melee with his teammate Robert. That's too bad for Jeremy Pope. We continue to watch his battle unfold with Donnie Stalbitz and Dennis Graham. Stalbitz is going to have the DRS again. He is much closer this time. He gets to the inside. He's going to be able to make this move. I don't think Graham's going to give up that easily, though. Graham is still there. He's all over the gearbox now. Donnie Stalbitz. Meanwhile, while this has been happening, Anthony Johnson's been reeling in Jamie Dodger, and this is now within less than half a second. Oh, and they both run very wide. Anthony Johnson now, you can hear the bottom of the car scraping, moves to the inside, heavy on the brakes. Is he going to be able to make it stick? Good move by Anthony Johnson. Takes over the second spot. And Jamie Dodger again, 3-second time penalty. And you can actually see him heading through those S's. He's going way off. About half of his car is across the line heading through those S's. Tries to get that power, and you see the back end kick out a little bit. He's still within a second range, so he'll still have the DRS. Finish Boy hasn't entirely pulled away from this battle. 2.5 seconds separates Finish Boy and Anthony Johnson and Jamie Dodger as this battle's still kind of raging on here. Number of laps later, 0.6 of a second. So can Jamie Dodger maybe get that position back? You see Robert in the background there. He's starting to come into the 4. Look at that, coming out of there. Very wide, good run. As I was saying, you see Robert starting to come into the 4A. 5 seconds behind this battle as it goes on. DRS slot open for Jamie Dodger. He's not going to be close enough to make a move at the top of the hill. And this is all good news for Finish Boy, because if these two battle it out and get into a scrap, he's going to be able to pull away. So Finish Boy still 2.5 seconds already into the S's. Now it looks like Dodger was a little bit more clean going through the S's that time. No more time penalties on that lap. I don't know why they're looking at the back of the car. I don't want to look at the back of the car. I want to look at the front of the car. He's way too far back to try and make a move. He closed that gap a little bit, though. Puff of smoke out of Anthony Johnson. He does close up under braking. Big time. Oh, and they both lock up that left front. Johnson got a little bit better run out of that corner than Dodger did. Lost a little bit of ground to him. Ooh, and he goes very wide again. He's trying to just make up the time any way he can. That's going to cost him more time, though, because he's going to get those time penalties. Dodger's just got to recompose himself, take control of his emotions in the car, and he's going to catch him. He sticks with it. Meanwhile, Anthony Johnson, he's losing ground to Finish Boy. 3-second gap now for the Finn. And Dodger's within half a second of Johnson. So nothing is settled here between these two. And another 3-second time penalty for Dodger. You saw it happen right there at that corner. Meanwhile, Robert has lost a little bit of ground in this battle. He's running all by his lonesome. He's 6 seconds back from that battle for second, running in fourth, and he's 4 seconds ahead of Donnie Staubitz in fifth. So this is the closest battle on track right now. It's between second and third. This is Anthony Johnson in the Red Bull, Jamie Dodger in the Sauber. Much cleaner that time. Johnson's still able to get that power down just a little bit quicker on that Red Bull. Good setup he's got going on. Much cleaner through that corner. Dodger might actually be close enough to get that power down. Look at that Red Bull take off. Jamie Dodger, I mean, he's not a bad driver. He's actually had a pretty solid year. And he's 10th in the points. It looks like he started out with Toro Rosso, or perhaps he got into the wrong car today, but he's got 53 points to his credit so far this year. So he's definitely put some points on the board. He's in the top 10. Did have a podium back in Spain at Catalonia, so he's very close to closing that gap up. His roll over the gearbox now, Anthony Johnson. Can he make something happen in this lap? Johnson made the pass about 3 laps ago, I should say, 3 or 4 laps ago, and hasn't really been able to pull away from Jamie Dodger, and Dodger's been kind of reeling him back in. Just trying to go over some of the notes, and like I said, he did have a... He cuts that very tight, bounces over that sausage curve, the orange curve. Look at that Red Bull. It's going to gap him just a little bit. Not a whole lot that time. Dodger got a good run coming out of that corner to the top of the hill. DRS slot open. Thought about it, thought about it, thought about it. Oh, he's all over the back of the gearbox. Oh, but he cuts that first turn there, that first left-hander in the S's. You know he got a warning for that one. I got to hand it to Dodger. He was trying real hard to get to the back end of that Red Bull. Anthony Johnson's just a tick quicker than he is. But unfortunately, he's lost a lot of ground to Finish Boy, almost 5 seconds back now. Finish Boy running out front all by himself, the Scarlet Bandit, taking it to the house. Working lap 10 of 56, and he has pulled out to a 4.5 second gap over this battle that's been raging on since the start. Anthony Johnson started 5th this race, managed to make a move and get to the melee between the 2 McLarens at the top of the hill at turn 1. That put him into the 3rd position, and then he was able to pass Jamie Dodger a number of laps ago, but Dodger hasn't let it go. Dodger's still trying to get to the back end of that Red Bull and get that spot back. And I'm pretty sure that would be, if he could get it back, I mean, it's very early in the race, but if he could get it back, it would be Jamie Dodger's best finish of the year so far. Dodger's generally a mid-pack kind of guy. And if he could just his head in the game heading through these S's. Oh, he's got a little bit of oversteer, loses the back end of the car. And just as I said it, he cut that first left-hander too tight. He caught them big sausage curves and it disturbed the back end of the car, so he lost a lot of time. Good save by Jamie Dodger, though. Let's not let that go unnoticed. Good save by Jamie Dodger. Big lock up there on the left rear. So let's see if he can regain his composure and settle back into a groove. He's not too terribly far off of Anthony Johnson. 2 seconds. That's still technically the closest battle on track is between these two. The gap is still 4.5 seconds back to Anthony Johnson from the lead, with Finish Boy has been able to pull out. Caution in sector 2. Anthony Johnson still losing time. Ooh, when he tries to get the power down, the back end kicks out of the car. And another 3-second time penalty for Jamie Dodger. That is going to be the death of him. At this point, I believe Jamie has got about 9 seconds worth that I know of time penalties. If the race ended now, it would drop him out of the podium position and put him down to 4th, and it would move Robert up to the 3rd spot. So really, Robert's running his own race right now, running in 4th. He's 8 seconds behind Jamie Dodger. He's 5.5 seconds ahead of Donnie Stallbitz. And with the way Jamie's running right now, things could really fall into Robert's hands. We've got Tau Classworks chiming in on the live chat saying, "Go Ministry of Speed." Great racing. Always good to have another fan tuning in as I continue, as I fill in for Johnny Rivas, Six Gun Johnny as he is known. So he is out taking some personal time, filling in for him, and we didn't want the season to end with his absence, so we're going to continue on as we continue to watch Jamie Dodger here. Runs very wide. The 3-second time penalties for Jamie Dodger is really going to do him in, unfortunately, for this race. He put in a halfway decent qualifying effort. He's been running really strong this race, but the time penalties are just not going to help him towards the end of this. And coincidentally, everybody started on ultra softs. Now, we started with 9 cars. We've got 6 left. We lost 2 very quickly. At the beginning of the race, Dark Knight 99 was disqualified, never left the grid. Jeremy Pope suffered some wing damage in a melee with his teammate, Robert, at the beginning of the race. At the top of the hill, turn 1, he had to pit. He was 30 seconds off the pace, and then I'm not 100% sure if Jeremy decided to rage quit after that a couple laps later, or if he had another off and ended his day. And then Rosta 236, which was Ryan Wingate, unfortunately got called away at the last minute right before the race started. So he retired his car to the pits, called it a day. So we started with 9, we're down to 6. Do a run through the field with Finish Boy, who started on pole and he's led every lap so far. Big lock up there on the left front. But Finish Boy smashed qualifying. He was a 1.5 seconds ahead of everybody else. I'm surprised he's only been able to pull out to a 4.5 second gap over Anthony Johnson, his rival in the championship. These two are running 1-2 in the championship, and they're running 1-2 here today at COTA for the Freedom Grand Prix from Ministry of Speed. 350 points to Finish Boy's credit, as we see Dennis Graham picks up a 3-second time penalty. 304 points to Anthony Johnson's credit, so mathematically Johnson's still in it, but would need nothing short of a miracle to try and close that points gap between him and Finish Boy. Jamie Dodger, we've watched a lot of today. Dodger's been running a really good race, but he's been struggling with time penalties, and they are stacking up against him, and it could cost him at the end of this race. We talked about Robert Carobo a little bit. He's running his own race at his own pace, not having to deal with any traffic at all. He is 8.5 seconds behind Jamie Dodger, and he's 6.3 seconds. Oh no, and Jamie Dodger's had an off. Where is he? Where is Jamie Dodger? Dodger lost it in the S's still cutting through the grass. So Jamie Dodger, the S's are going to be the death of him in this race today. And it looks like he's got some wing damage on the right front. The back end comes around, and he smashes into the Armco. He's trying to get the car going again. And again into the Armco. Jamie Dodger, what has happened? His race is just unraveled here. And he is going to just crash his car and call it a day. So Jamie Dodger, who was running in the third spot, has a big off in the S's and decides to rage quit on lap 15 of 56. So we're going to pick up Robert, who's now managed to work his way into third spot. So that was a great effort there by Robert. Like I said, he was running his own race. He's going to pick up the second spot through the pit sequence, and it's actually going to move him up into first. And the safety car has come out because of Jamie Dodger and his displeasure, and I should say his display of displeasure in the S's. So the safety car is out. We saw it just coming out of the pits right behind Finish Boy. So we started with 9, we are left with 5. And we're only on lap 15 of 56. Robert through the pit sequence is now your leader. Finish Boy, who has pitted, comes out. He'll be running in second. Anthony Johnson will be running third. Donnie Stolbitz is fourth. And Brother Burr Wilson, Dennis Graham, rounding out the 5 drivers left in today's Grand Prix. It looks like everybody is still running the Ultra Softs. They had free reign of the tires since qualifying was wet. So no need to play a tire strategy. They had an extra set of tires that they could run since Q2 was basically rained a wash. It was rained out, it was a wash. So we are waiting for the safety car to pick up the leader, and it looks like Robert is going to head into the pits. Now would be the best time for it, and that's going to drop him all the way to the back of the field, though. That'll hand the lead back over to Finish Boy, followed by Anthony Johnson. Now Johnson is on the Super Softs versus the Ultras. So Finish Boy's on Ultras, Robert, Anthony Johnson, Donnie Stolbitz, all on Supers, as is Brother Burr Wilson. You see there, the safety car finally picks up the leaders. It really is too bad about Jamie Dodger. Had a halfway decent race going, but really just raveled and fell apart there at the S's, and he decided to throw caution to the wind and call it a day. Anthony Johnson. This should be really interesting once the safety car actually heads in. The safety car is going in this lap according to race control. Johnson's got to get a good jump on Finish Boy if he wants any hope of trying to steal this win from him. Anthony Johnson, he's playing with the steering wheel a lot. Safety car is going to head in there, veers off to the left. Power down coming out of this corner. DRS is enabled. It's go time, boys. Back to green. Anthony Johnson, see if he's got anything for him. Meanwhile, to the top of the hill. Look at this. Robert gets around Anthony Johnson. That is not what Anthony wanted to see. Great move by Robert to get around Anthony Johnson. And Anthony's race, he just can't seem to catch a break this weekend. Struggled in qualifying. He did start 5th and managed to work his way into 2nd, but now let's do the stack up. So Robert's going to take 2nd spot from Anthony Johnson, and now Anthony Johnson has actually got Donnie Staubitz all over the back of him. So great move by Robert to the top of the hill on the restart. Meanwhile, Finish Boy's already pulled out his gap. 1.6 seconds, almost 2 seconds now, 1.8 over Robert. Anthony Johnson is going to want that spot back, I'm sure of it. And Johnson's already lost more ground to Robert, unfortunately. Robert's lost more ground to Finish Boy, 2 seconds off the pace now. And Finish Boy runs the fastest lap of the race after the restart with the safety car heads in, 1:37.114. Now, Finish Boy is the only driver that is on the ultra soft tires currently. He started on ultra softs, he put on more ultras. So it seems to me he might be trying to do a 2-stop strategy to keep this race pace up at a very high level. Meanwhile, everybody else is on the supers, which tells me that they might try to run these tires to the end of the race. That's going to be a lot of laps on a set of supers. But Finish Boy is the only one on it, and I'm going to assume it's because of strategy calls like that is why he is your championship points leader as the season winds down. Hop on the back with Anthony Johnson of the Red Bull. Anthony Johnson struggled in the wet qualifying. He thought he had set a pretty good time. A lot of guys in the dry were able to set quicker times, dropped him to 5th. Managed to work his way into 3rd at the start of the race, and then managed to get his way around Jamie Dodger for 2nd. Dodger kept pace with him for a number of laps, but as we saw, Dodger's race fell apart at the S's. And you see Robert there cut that corner very tight. And Finish Boy, he goes 1:36.380. He's now pulled out to a 3.5 second gap over what is the battle for 2nd as it starts to materialize. And that's interesting. The DRS is enabled, but I don't see the DRS slot open on Anthony Johnson's car as it was heading down the front stretch. Hop on board with him real quick. He's been real good through the S's all day. The S's is really one of that's probably the most key part of this track. That is where you would gain or lose most of your time through a lap around COTA would be at the S's. And he did gain a ton of time on Robert Garobo this time. We're going to see here, he's within DRS range. He's very clearly within DRS range. See if that wing slot opens up. And it does not. There it is. DRS slot open, so that opened actually pretty late though. So Anthony Johnson within half a second, he's within striking distance. Robert trying to hang tough in 2nd spot. DRS slot open. Well, I don't know if he was having trouble with it, if he was having a mechanical issue with it before. It looks like it's working now. To the top of the hill, Robert. A little wide coming out of there. So just see how smooth. Look how much time he gains to the first two left-right. He's so smooth through the S's. Look at this time he gains on Robert coming through here. Another right-hander. Left-hander over the top of the hill. A little kink coming down here. Hard on the brakes. Tries to get the power down. The Red Bull's shown that he can definitely get the power down. He was able to gap Jamie Dodger almost every single time under some of these hard corners. He's not going to be close enough to make a move. Big lock up though from the McLaren. Is going to push him wide. Johnson trying to get in the inside there. Another puff of smoke out of Robert's McLaren. So Robert's really starting to work the front brakes on that. Takes away the inside line. He's going to try and make Anthony Johnson go a long way around. Johnson's not going to be able to make the crossover move there work. Through the triple right-hander. Robert runs wide to the inside. Goes Anthony Johnson. Last corner. Puts the power down. Robert's not going to be able to make a crossover move work. And Anthony Johnson's going to have the DRS advantage because he was behind him at the sector time. So Anthony Johnson back into second spot, but is Robert done with him? I don't think Robert's going to have much of an answer for him. Robert has not been as smooth through the S's as Anthony Johnson. Johnson gap him a little bit. 3-second time penalty for Donnie Stallbitz. And look at this. Way to the inside went Robert that time. So he's within a second. So he'll have the DRS advantage, but he's not going to be close enough to make a move. Now, this was the same battle, basically, that he was having with Jamie Dodger before Dodger ran into issues. He had gotten passed by Jamie Dodger. Oh, look at this. The back end of the McLaren kicks out. Robert tried getting the power down a little too early and lost a ton of ground to Anthony Johnson in the Red Bull. Oh, no, he runs very wide. What is going on there? So, once again, I don't know if Anthony Johnson has some sort of voodoo he's thrown at the other drivers, but that's the second time Anthony Johnson has been passed by a driver, manages to pass him back, and then that driver falls into some trouble. Robert loses 2 seconds to Anthony Johnson. We'll hop on board with Robert. These S's are so hard here at COTA. I mean, a lot of people say they're reminiscent of the S's at Suzuka, but I beg to differ. The ones at Suzuka are very symmetrical with each other. Not so much here in America. So Robert, I gotta say, back to running his own race as he was doing before the safety car came out because of Jamie Dodger. He's now 2.5 seconds back from Anthony Johnson, and he is well ahead of Donnie Stallbitz, 8 seconds ahead of Donnie Stallbitz. And Stallbitz going to be running his own race by himself as well, because he is 8 seconds off of Robert, but he is 40 seconds ahead of brother Bro Wilson, Dennis Graham, running all by his lonesome. Now, the benefit to doing that is he shouldn't run into any issues. In worst case scenario, he's going to finish top 5. So really, that's a good day. Oh, but the back end kicks out. Look at this. Unfortunate turn of events for Dennis Graham. Commentator's curse. Talk him up, and we have an incident. But luckily for him, there's nobody around. He's not in the way of anybody. He's not going to take anybody out. He's not going to lose a position. He's just going to be running 5th spot. So Dennis Graham, no big deal there. He kept the car off the wall. No damage done. Picks it up and moves on. No big deal. Meanwhile, Finish Boy will be looking to add to his tally of wins this year. He is 7+ seconds ahead of Anthony Johnson. In fact, Finish Boy didn't even pick up his first win of the year until round 5 in Spain, which was also coincidentally the same one that we had talked about earlier where Jamie Dodger had picked up his one podium of the year. Eight wins so far this year for Finish Boy, and he's looking to make it 9 at the rate he's going right now. 8 seconds up on what has been a fairly interesting race. We're working lap 23 of 56. Almost halfway through this race. Big lockup on the left front there. Well, let's just take a ride along with Finish Boy around the lap here at COTA. And that is a lap around Circuit of the Americas with the Scarlet Bandit himself, Finish Boy, in the Ferrari. You can really hear that anti-lag system working on the Ferrari as he gets off of the gas. Wasn't his smoothest lap, but still nonetheless fun to ride along with the Scarlet Bandit. Finish Boy again taking it to the house, showing everybody how it's done. Now, Anthony Johnson, I think, has probably been the smoothest driver through the S's. And that's where he's been able to pick up most of his time when he was trying to battle for second spot. Looks like he's going to walk away comfortably today, as long as everything stays the way it is right now. Look out the back of the Red Bull, you can see how far back Robert is in the McLaren. Robert just now entering the backstretch. Just a recap, we're working on lap 25 of 56. We're about halfway through this round 18, Circuit of the Americas. This is the Freedom Grand Prix for Ministries of Speed F1 season on PS4. This is F1 2018 on the PS4 platform. I am KAMIKAZE-FOX, commentating in place of Johnny Rivas, who is out due to personal matters. We hope to see him back in the booth soon. But for now, you're stuck with me, so I appreciate everybody tuning into the channel, checking me out, checking out the Ministry of Speed F1. be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to my channel. You can also check out the previous videos for this season if you're interested over at Six Gun Johnny. Check him out on YouTube as well. He's got a lot of practice videos that happen throughout the course of the week. He's got the Grand Prix on there. So be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to that channel as well. You can also check me out more for IRL, it's International Racing League, and SRL, that's the Sandro Racing League. I also commentate for those two leagues as well. And they race primarily Saturdays and Sundays during the day, not at the night. I also race in the International Racing League, Gran Turismo Sport Leagues, which we just did round 2 today for the Group 4 season. That was definitely interesting. And it looks like Robert is actually, it's not a lot, but he is closing the gap to Anthony Johnson. So just keep that in mind. I'm watching the tickers on the left-hand side. He gained about half a second in that first sector. Robert's got one less lap on his Super Softs. Meanwhile, Finish Boy, again, the only driver out on Ultra Softs. Oh, and a 3-second time penalty for Anthony Johnson. Cut that corner too tight. And if you want more information on the other leagues that I talked to you about, be sure to check them out online. There's the International Racing League-IRL.com. You can check out what they got going on this season. Right now, they just wrapped up F1 2018. We're going to be doing an F1 and F2 league next year with F1 2019, which we did F1 and F2 this year. There's also the Gran Turismo Sport Leagues. There's Group 3 and Group 4. Group 3 wrapped up. We're currently in the second week of Group 4. That's going to end in August, and Group 3 will start for Season 3 right around the same time as F1 2019. And then over at SRL, if you check out that YouTube page, that is the Sandro Racing League. And while there are many SRL leagues, there is only one Sandro Racing League. Check that one out as well. That was a really good Formula One season. They run 50% races, and that championship came down to the very last Grand Prix of the season with a very controversial call in regards to who won the race, but nonetheless, it was fascinating to watch happen. So be sure to check that out. Like, subscribe, and comment to them. You can also check them out online. I'm not 100% sure what their website is. It's on the Weebly. Their website link is in the description of the videos. Check out SRL. Check out IRL. But right now, we're checking out Ministries of Speed Round 18 Freedom Grand Prix here at COTA, where Finish Boy has been walking away with a massive lead over Anthony Johnson of 11 seconds. Anthony Johnson has had a pretty adventurous weekend so far. Qualifying was a mess. Wasn't exactly what he was anticipating. Started in the 5th spot. Managed to work his way into 3rd on the opening lap. Then he had to fight Jamie Dodger for a number of laps. Got around him. Donnie Stallbitz just picked up a 3-second time penalty. He was able to work through the traffic with Jamie Dodger, got around him. Then Dodger crashed. That brought out the safety car where Robert got the jump on Anthony Johnson. And Robert was running second, and Johnson had to work his way around him. So Johnson's had to fight really hard for that 2nd spot. Now, I don't know if they do Driver of the Day voting for Ministries of Speed, but right now Anthony Johnson's got my vote because he fought very hard to get in that 2nd spot and retain it and get it back. Donnie Stallbitz and Brother Burrow Wilson, Dennis Graham, have both been running very quietly 4th and 5th. Again, we started with 9 drivers. Dark Knight was immediately disqualified because he never left the start box. He never left the start box at the beginning of the race. Ryan Wingate had to retire immediately because he was called away to work. Jeremy Pope was caught up in a melee with his teammate on the opening lap at the top of the hill at turn 1. That unfortunately cost him, then he pitted, lost some time, and he eventually crashed out or rage quit. We're not 100% sure. And then we saw what happened to Jamie Dodger a number of laps later. Lost control of the car, had some wing damage, and decided to run it into the Armco to end his day anyways. Now halfway through this race, and the cars are all very well spread out at this point, unfortunately. It looks like Donnie Starbucks was heading into the pits. Pick it up. See the tires he switches over to. Another 3-second time penalty for Robert. Oh, and Donnie Starbucks has left the session. Donnie Starbucks pits and quits. Unfortunately, his car is going to go AI and run fourth. So, a little bit of turn of events here. This is actually pretty good news for Dennis Graham, who, as we pick up again, is spinning. And Graham has not had the best race. So Dennis Graham running fifth. But this is good news for him since Donnie Starbucks is pit and quit. Donnie Starbucks' car is going to go AI. Now, the AI cars in this game are generally anywhere from 3 to 4 seconds slower a lap. So, if Dennis Graham can get his composure and keep the car from spinning, you see he's going to get out of the way for Anthony Johnson here. Then Dennis Graham could potentially pick up the fourth spot. And he is already taking chunks of time out of Donnie Starbucks' ghost car. So he gets well out of the way of Anthony Johnson. So we'll keep tabs on that as the time continues to drop. That would actually put Dennis Graham into a fourth spot. That would be a really impressive run considering everything he's had to go through today. Meanwhile, Finish Boy still commanding this race well out in front. A little bit of a lockup there. Now, he's on some really old Ultra Softs. 15 laps on these Ultras, and you can see they're starting to definitely give way with the front-end grip. It hasn't really cost him any time, but he is locking up left and right at almost every corner, it seems like, right now. So how long can he run those Ultras? No, he is going to definitely run at least one more lap on him. Nothing dramatic there at the top of the hill. Through the very technical S's. You can hear that anti-lag system kick in. You hear that when he's off the gas, you almost hear like that car make a growling noise. That's the anti-lag system on the car. Very distinct noise to the Ferrari. And another big lockup on the left front. The only other car that I know that's got a really distinctive anti-lag system like that is the Ford GTs in IMSA and WEC for Chip Ganassi Racing. The Ford GTs have a very loud anti-lag system that sounds like a combination of a cow milling and an anti-lock brake system. It's very distinct, it's very loud, but it works very well despite the noise that it makes. And currently, obviously, the 24 Hours of Le Mans is happening, which I will be turning back over to watch when this is done. I certainly wish Chip Ganassi Racing the best of luck. Ford GTs, Chip Ganassi bowing out at the end of this race for the WEC season. Next year they will not be running the Ford GT from the factory program. Chip Ganassi will still be running the Ford GT for the rest of the season in IMSA on the North American shores. In fact, they're going to be running the 6 Hours of Watkins Glen June 29th and June 30th. I think it's June 29th, Saturday. On the 6 Hours of the Glen as a part of the North American Endurance Championship, which consists of 6 hours of the Glen, 12 hours of Sebring, and 24 hours of Daytona, along with Road Atlanta, which is the Petit Le Mans run at the end of the season. That's a 10-hour race, usually very dramatic. Continue to ride along with Finish Boy. He has lost a little bit of time, not a lot, but about half a second to Anthony Johnson. Was 12.5, it's now down to 12. Meanwhile, Dennis Graham, who has Robert behind him, Dennis Graham is only 35 seconds off of Donnie Staubitz AI Renault. Not sure what happened to Donnie. Not sure if it was not worth it for him to continue running. He ran into an issue, but he's gone AI, and his car is losing time. He's only going to lose the one spot, though. Anthony Johnson continuing to run in second, 12 seconds back. Not able to find any way to close that gap at all. And then 10 seconds back from him is Robert. And here we're going to get the total time. 22 seconds off the leader is Robert, and Donnie Staubitz is now a lap. Well, 1:35, which is essentially a lap down. You see Dennis Graham there. He's behind Robert. That is Dennis in the 5th position. Donnie Staubitz's car is currently running 4th. And it looks like Finish Boy is actually coming up to the back end of that now. So it's almost a moot point. You could say too bad for Donnie because he left the session, but his car is still going to finish 5th. You know, I mean, that's the price you got to pay when you've only got 9 cars starting a race, unfortunately. And it looks like that's actually, unfortunately, a pretty average car count for Ministries of Speed. Looks like they generally have anywhere from 10 to 12 cars per race. Which doesn't always take away from the quality of the racing. But as you can see here at COTA, I mean, 5 cars are working lap 34.56. The cars are very well spread out, unfortunately. Not a lot of action on track. And this is kind of what I was afraid of because I don't have a lot of filler to fill in. It's just kind of me talking about what's going on, which isn't a whole lot, unfortunately. I don't have a lot of news and notes in reference to the Ministries of Speed. I mean, again, I did do some guest commentating with Johnny earlier in the year, round 14 at Singapore for the Singapore Sling Grand Prix, and that was a lot of fun. But again, I don't participate in this normally. Johnny is out in personal leave, basically, and kind of threw this together last minute. Really, this all came together over the course of the past week to put me in the booth. You know, it just kind of, like I said, it lucked out. I was done with IRL and I was done with SRL as far as my commentating duties for the year. You know, the time is right. You know, Saturday nights for me, so I can make it work, and I'm happy to fill in for Johnny in the meantime. And hope he gets everything back on track in his personal life. But unfortunately, not being a part of this league on a weekly basis, it's really hard to fill in the gaps and lack of action. I mean, the cars are very well spread out. 12 seconds between first and second, 12 seconds between second and third. Pretty much a lap between third and fourth and fifth. I mean, the biggest action we're about to have is going to be Brother Bro Wilson, who can finally see. Well, no, he can't. This is still the McLaren of Robert. But Dennis Graham is only 13 seconds now behind Donnie Staubitz's AI car. And I think the average car count, I mean, obviously for Ministries of Speed, looking at some of the notes and just doing some quick math in my head, it's usually between 10 and 12 cars. And again, that doesn't always take away from the quality of racing. SRL and IRL run 50% races, where it does change the dynamic of the race a little bit, because you don't have as much time to try and pace yourself. It's pretty much a sprint race. You've got to be on the go from the start. Dennis Graham actually closing the gap to Roberts McLaren. I don't think he'll try and make a move on him. I mean, he's essentially a lap down from Robert, even though they're both about to be third and fourth. So how weird is that? But car count doesn't always take away from the quality of racing. But IRL and SRL, they run anywhere from, on average, 12 to 16 cars. And they have had a number of full grids this year. That's a lot of stuff to keep up with throughout the course of the race. Anthony Johnson heads into the pits. He's going to come back out. He is going to be third. So Anthony Johnson's going to be stuck behind Robert again. This should be Anthony Johnson's last pit stop. We're going to switch over to Super Softs. Looks like Finish Boy pits and doesn't come, well, he pits and doesn't lose a spot, so it's not going to matter for him. So Finish Boy and Anthony Johnson pit at the same time. Meanwhile, Robert's going to split the two in second spot. So here you've got second, fourth, fifth, and then third, all running with each other in that particular order. It looks like Anthony Johnson did get by Dennis Graham. Graham's now going to get by the AI car of Donnie Staubitz. So that'll move him up one spot into fourth. And now you've got this battle here for second, which should be easy for Anthony Johnson to dispatch. DRS slot open. He's on the freshest tires you can have right now. A little easy on the brakes. I know Robert's not going to make it easy, but Robert's still got another pit stop to make. And we see Dennis Graham finally get through past Donnie Staubitz. Johnson now all over the back end of Roberts McLaren. Thought about trying to make a move. He's going to try and get to the inside, gets the power down, and he is gone. He's probably going to have the DRS advantage too because he was behind him at the timing mark. Quick open and close with the DRS though. I don't know what that was about. I thought Anthony Johnson was having issues with his DRS earlier, and I don't know if that's a product right there of it. A quick open and close. He didn't leave it open. I'm sure he wouldn't close it just like that, so maybe he's having some mechanical issues with his DRS. It's really been mostly inconsequential for most of this race since there's been such a large gap between most of the drivers. So Anthony Johnson gets past Robert for the second spot, and he is gone, and the gap remains the same by 12-13 seconds behind Finish Boy. Finish Boy been running all by his lonesome since the start of this race. He was in a different class by himself through qualifying. So a great run today by Finish Boy. as we work lap 38 of 56. Finish boy looking to add to his 8-win total for the year. Anthony Johnson looking to add to his podium total. He's had one just about every single race. So again, the cars are all pretty much well spread out. We'll hop on board with Finish Boy again, as he just ran the fastest lap at a 1:35.729 to the top of the hill. I don't know if fastest lap means anything for Ministries of Speed. I know last season IRL did not award any points for fastest lap. I know that's relatively new to Formula 1 this year. Now, SRL grants a bonus point for pole position and fastest lap, which is actually something I believe IndyCar does as far as granting points for pole position. Right along with Finish Boy, he heads through the dog leg down this quick kink here and the backstretch. A little bit of a lock up there on the left front. On the long back stretch, kicks it into 8th gear, brakes at the 100-meter mark. Finish Boy almost had a little bit of a mistake there. Turned in a little too tight. That's another lap. We're working lap 40 of 56, 16 laps to go. Let's hop on board with Anthony Johnson. Now you can hear the difference in engine tones, but the main thing that you don't hear with the Red Bull over that Ferrari is going to be that anti-lag system. You are going to hear some massive wheel spin coming out of the top of turn 1 though. Johnson trying to get that power down. Johnson has had a very peculiar race weekend, I can definitely say that. I think he'll be satisfied and upset with himself at the same time. He's definitely raced hard to get that second spot. It's been hard fought and well deserved today with the guys that he's had to fight with, Jimmy Dodger and Robert Garobo. So props to him for fighting for that second spot. But qualifying did not go the way that he wanted it to, and he just does not have the pace here at COTA that Finish Boy has. So, I mean, he'll be satisfied being able to fight and come home with second spot. I think he's going to be disappointed big time with just being as far off the pace as he is with Finish Boy. Robert, meanwhile, I think he'll be pretty happy. He's out on the Ultra Softs. Looks like he switched over. Actually, I don't think he's pitted yet, has he? He just came out of the pits on the Ultra Soft, so this is a fresh set of Ultras. I think Robert will be pretty happy today coming home with a podium finish as long as everything continues to go the way it is. And Brother Bro Wilson, Dennis Graham himself, I think Dennis will be pretty happy with himself. When I watched him at the Singapore Sling Grand Prix, that was it was very similar to what he's done now. I mean, he basically runs his race. Dennis Graham goes out, he runs his race, he stays out of trouble, and through sequence and cars dropping out, he's usually able to finish mid-pack. And today I think it was a really big day for him to come home fourth. He's obviously had a few offs today. Qualifying did not go well, so this is a really good outing for him. And I think what he should do really at this point, he's not going to lose the spot, he's not going to gain the spot. I really think he should take this time to really concentrate and hone in, maybe use the rest of this race as a slight like test session to see what kind of changes he can make in the cockpit or on the car with his driving style to help maybe elevate his driving to the next level, get himself to the next big game. But coming home fourth today, I think it's going to be big for him. Donnie Stallbitz, I feel like, probably just said, I don't have to stay up this late in the race. I can finish fifth. And I think he called it a day. I don't think it was a rage quit. I think it was just a, I think it was just one of those things. You look at it and you go, do I really need to race 56 laps with 5 cars? Probably not. So Donnie's probably going to be pretty happy with fifth. Jamie Dodger, I would imagine he's probably pretty upset with himself. And I know Jeremy Pope was looking to have a much better race. He qualified in fourth, but I mean, it all fell apart at the beginning of the race. Robert had a really good start, I think from the 5th or 6th position, and came up the inside. Just made contact with him coming out of turn 1 at the top of the hill, and Jeremy's race just fell apart from there. So realistically, it was 9 that we started with, but really Dark Knight 99 and Roast the 236, that's Ryan Wingate. I mean, they both were inconsequential at the start. Dark Knight never left the start box, and unfortunately Ryan Wingate had to leave for work matters. So really that left us with 7 cars from the get-go. So working lap 42 of 56, we continue to watch Finish Boy pull away. Through the S's. Give that growl, that very distinct growl from the Ferrari. Hear it coming down here in the braking zone. There it is. Won't hear that on the Red Bull. Anything like that on the McLaren. Robert coming out of turn 1, head down into the S's. Oh no, Robert has left the session. We just hopped on board with Robert, and I don't know if he had an internet issue. You saw the car kind of glitch and it's gone AI, and Robert is done. Robert is done. This is unbelievable. So Robert is done. I don't think it could happen. Dennis Graham, though. Dennis Graham would have to get by Robert's AI car and then go around again to catch him and pass him to get third. It is not completely out of the realm of possibility, but Dennis Graham would have to pick up his pace a little bit. So Dennis, if you're watching, if you're listening, put the pedal down, brother. You could pick up a podium spot. That would be really interesting to watch. I wish I knew how far back Dennis was from Robert's car right now. And actually, it doesn't look like he's that far off. There he is. Now, that's not going to be for position just yet. So here comes Robert's AI McLaren. And there is Dennis Graham. Now, again, Dennis would have to get by the McLaren, go around again, catch him, and then get by him again. So he's basically got to pass him twice, but he could pick up a podium position. Now, this is something to watch. This would be interesting to watch. If he's going to catch him coming through these S's, look at the speed that he's carrying right now. Keep it easy there, Dennis. Keep it easy. Now, he has got 11 laps to catch that car one more time to get that podium position. That would be a huge day for Brother Bro Wilson. And I'm just going to run through the quick finishing orders here. I don't think he may have had one podium so far this year. And almost every single race is Finnish Boy, Fenario, and Eric Garcia. This could be a big day. This really could be a big day for Dennis Graham, Brother Bro Wilson himself. He is a minute and 40 seconds behind Robert's AI McLaren. Basically, with 10 laps to go, and meanwhile, while that was actually transpiring, Anthony Johnson has managed to pick up 2 seconds on Finnish Boy, cut that lead back from 12.5 to 10.5. Now, if Anthony Johnson was going to try and win this race, he would basically have to catch Finnish Boy a second a lap, 10 laps to go. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the more interesting story here is Dennis Graham. But we're going to keep an eye on Anthony Johnson. Oh man, listen to that Red Bull trying to get that power down. Mashes on the gas coming out of that left-hander, and you just hear the wheel spin. Trying to get a good run coming down backstretch. Lock up in the right front. He lost a lot of time right there, I can tell. A lot of struggle with the understeer. See how much input he's got to put into the steering wheel if he's trying to make these corners. And Johnson lost some time in that time by. Meanwhile, a minute and 30 seconds back from what could potentially be his first podium of the season, Brother Bro Wilson, Dennis Graham himself, trying to catch Robert's McLaren for the third spot. His McLaren has gone AI. We're not 100% sure what happened to Robert, if it was an internet connection, if it was, I can't say it was a rage quit. He might have gone the route of Donnie Stallworth and said, I'm not going to lose any more spots. Why am I racing? Call it a day. Does Dennis have what it takes to catch Roberts McLaren? Oh, and Robert's car is pitting. Robert's car is pitting. Now, is this still AI? Roberts, I don't think, is under control of his car. You swap it out for another set of tires. So Dennis Graham, that is falling into his lap even better. He's a minute 23 behind. Come on, Dennis Graham. The Ministries of Speed world is rooting for you to pull out this podium finish. Meanwhile, Anthony Johnson picked up another second over Finish Boy. He's 9.5 seconds back, still in pursuit of Finish Boy. I don't think he's going to catch him. I don't think he's getting enough time to make up that kind of gap. But Dennis Graham pushing towards the end of this race. Keep it together, lad. You can do it. 120 back from Roberts McLaren. Oh, goes in way too deep into turn one. Luckily, there's miles of runoff at modern F1 tracks. There's a caution in sector 3. I don't know who that would be in reference to. Oh no, it's Anthony Johnson. And here comes Roberts McLaren. It's a lap down at this point. So Anthony Johnson obviously was pushing. He had the gap under 9 seconds. Looks like he was really trying hard to catch him. It's not going to happen. This is pretty much fallen into the hands of Finish Boy. All Finish Boy has to do is just maintain his pace. And Anthony Johnson, again, like I said earlier, I think he's going to be satisfied with the fact that he finished second. I think he's going to be really disappointed, though, in the way he performed. And I think he's going to understand and he's going to realize that he lucked out a lot coming home second if he can keep it together. Roberts F1 car running all by its lonesome. Dennis Graham still pushing. He's got that gap cut down to 55 seconds. This is actually really kind of fun to watch at this point now. The closing laps, of all the things to get excited about, it's about a guy who doesn't have a podium finish all year, trying to catch an AI car that he was a lap down to. You've got to give him some sort of credit for that. He was a lap down to it. And in a matter of 12 laps, can he pull it off to get his first podium position? 51 seconds now, the gap. 7 laps to go. On the Ultra Softs, the Force India, Dennis Graham just needs to keep his composure, hit his marks, maintain his pace. Again, the ghost cars, the AI cars in this game are anywhere from 3 to 4.5 seconds slower per lap. And that's on average. If you've got a guy like Finish Boy, it could be even bigger of a gap. It could be 6, 7, 8 seconds. So really, right now, it's just a matter of big lockup on the left front from Dennis Graham. I think he's starting to realize that he might be able to put this together. 45 seconds is the split now. And 45 seconds in Formula One time is just years, light years away from each other. When things are measured within tenths and hundredths of a second, 45 seconds seems like an eternity. And Bro Wilson just ran the fastest lap of the race at a 1:35.362. He's on it. Go, brother Bro Wilson. Dennis Graham is hot-footing it around this COTA circuit right now. 37 seconds back from Robert's F1 car. Keep it together through the S's. I don't know if Dennis is watching the live stream or at least listening to me talk. I don't no idea. Okay, but right now, I think he's finally picked up on the fact that he can do this. He's 35 seconds back. He's going to have to make up a lot of time. It's going to be so close. If he can keep everything together, it's going to be close. 5 laps to go. And right now, this is the battle to watch. A McLaren that's gone AI and is a lap down to the leaders, which is Anthony Johnson, who is currently running second, 25 seconds behind Finish Boy. Out in front, the Scarlet Bandit and the Scuderia Ferrari. Robert's F1 car, that's Robert Carobo, is in the was in the McLaren. He's gone AI. He left the session. Dennis Graham was a lap down to that lap car. He has now made up that lap, and he has gone back around. He is now closing the gap, 32 seconds behind Robert's F1 car. You see the observation tower there at COTA, very distinct. I remember years ago when David Coulthard did donuts in a Formula One car at the top of the observation deck when it first opened. 30 seconds the gap now. Finish Boy coming across the line to start lap 52 of 56. And Finish Boy has been so smooth all day. Not one mistake made all race weekend for Finish Boy. In fact, I'm not even entirely sure, but I don't think Finish Boy's even had a time penalty this race. So if that's the case, he hasn't put a foot wrong at all race weekend. Managed to run an amazing 2-1 time, and it was completely drenched. The circuit was completely soaked. Everybody was on full wets. I can't remember. They were all running in the 150s. Finish Boy comes out, runs 149 in like one lap. Q2, things start clearing up a little bit. The guys go out and they try intermediate laps. He's like 2 seconds up. It's a dry Q3. Everybody's running in the 134 range, I believe it was. It was 134s. I think Robert ran a 132. Or no, I'm sorry, he ran a 133, and then Finish Boy came across the line running a 132 something. He was a second and a half up over the second place car. The second place car was the only one in the 133s. So Finish Boy has just demolished this field throughout the course of this race weekend. I mean, just decimated it. I mean, it was very Art and Senna-esque in qualifying. This has been very Sebastian Vettel-esque. He took away at the start, and immediately at the end of the first sector, he was already ahead by half a second. At the end of the first lap, he was already a second and a half ahead. I mean, Vettel, when he would start on pole at Red Bull, lights out, and he was gone. You didn't see him the rest of the race, and that's exactly what Finish Boy has done. He has walked away with this win. Anthony Johnson, again, we've talked about him a couple times, coming home second. I don't think he's going to be happy with that. Rough day for him, rough day in qualifying. Robert, though, he is being stalked by brother Bro Wilson. Dennis Graham can now almost see It is 11 seconds, and he's got about 3 laps to do it. Keep it together, Dennis. You can do it. I feel it in my bones. It's now less than 10 seconds. .7. Big lockup on that left front. That's a real deceiving turn. It comes up on you quicker than you think, and it's sharper than you think too. There it is. He can finally see it. There's his target. He wants it bad. He can taste it. He's locking up that left front, getting that power down. 2.5 seconds back to Robert's F1 car. He should be able to do it this lap. And Finish Boy is pitting. Finish Boy is in the pits. Now, I'm not 100% sure what the pit stop delta here is. I think it's only like 20 seconds or something like that. Anthony Johnson's not going to be able to close that gap. But there it is. Brother Bro Wilson, Dennis Graham, has just gotten around Robert's F1 car to pick up the 3rd spot. An unbelievable drive at the end of this race for Dennis Graham. I turned away from him real quick as he was closing in on that to pick up Anthony Johnson and Finish Boy, who went in for another set of Ultra Softs. And I can only imagine, I guess the tires were not going to last there. Maybe Finish Boys just have to set the fastest lap at this point and just put another knuckle in the back of everybody for this race weekend. But a big hurrah for Dennis Graham, and he can comfortably and confidently say that he is going to get this podium position. And I got to say, that was in 10 laps. He passed that car twice to get that 3rd spot. He had to pass him to make up his lap on the car, go all the way around the track again, catch him, and then get by him for the 3rd spot. That gets my vote for driver of the day right there. I know Finish Boy has decimated this grid all weekend, and he really is king of the hill right now, but Dennis Graham getting it done for his first podium of the year. Congrats to him as this race is finally going to wind down. Finish Boy coming across the line to start the last lap, lap 56 of 56. Been a long, arduous race for some of these guys. Anthony Johnson, I know, will be happy that this race is over. This race is not going his way. Qualifying was a mess. He's had a couple of mistakes in the race so far. Finish Boy down the dog leg. One last time on the backstretch. Hard left-hander coming up. triple apex right-hander. Through Donnie Starbuck's Renault. Last corner for Finish Boy, and that is going to add to his total. And he does run the fastest lap, a 1:34.343. Just to put his stamp on today and this whole race weekend. Here comes Anthony Johnson. And props to brother Bro Wilson. Dennis Graham, I think, drove the race of his life today, making up that time. Granted, the car was AI. I still don't think it was anything less than amazing. That was a really good run by Dennis Graham. Congratulations to him coming home with his first podium finish. And we've got Anthony Johnson with us here in the booth. Anthony, I gotta ask, I'm pretty confident you're not happy with your result today.
No. I accidentally put in the wrong setup. Because I raced with Finn earlier today and saw that, my pace was not there. Then I switched some things and started getting a little bit of pace. But before, I hit the save, the load it, and by the time I realized what I did, I've already pressed the button to go out on track.
So there is your finishing order. That is the Scarlet Bandit Finish Boy atop step the podium, picking up another win of the season. Anthony Johnson coming home second. And we've got to give props to Dennis Graham, brother Bro Wilson, coming home with his first podium of the season in pretty spectacular fashion, passing the McLaren of Robert Horobo twice in order to pick up that podium spot. Finish Boy, you seem to have everything together this race weekend. You pretty much destroyed the field from the get-go. I mean, what do you have to say about your race? I mean, even at the last lap, you set the fastest lap, just to put another knuckle in everybody's back.
I did the car felt real well already in the qualifying. Qualifying usually for me is a little bit tricky. I more go for a race setup, so it's a little bit harder to get the car working qualifying, but already felt on intermediate conditions that the car was really good, so I had a good feeling already, and then got a really good laps on the last qualifying to get the pole, and then got off to a good start. These guys were pretty close to me at the beginning, and then we got that safety car as soon as we pitted, and I lost that 4-second gap that I had to Funario, so I had to push again after the safety car went back to the pits and do those 2-3 qualifying laps, and then just managed the tires, and tires were pretty good. I was, I think, the only one from the top guys that did with the Ultrasofts 2 stints, and then of course that 1 stint in the end, but pretty much a 2-stop race from that point on. So I was driving as fast as I could and trying to manage those tires, and like Finero said, he had setup issues, so he wasn't that fast that he probably would have been. So I was able to keep that gap on those tires, and then go to the super softs and had that gap in the end. So just made sure that there's no punctures or anything. So pitted in the end and finished with the ultra soft. It was
I was wondering why you made a pit stop so late.
Yeah,
so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure that there was no issues with the tires or anything. So just made that one cautious pit stop in the end because I had the gap this time. So normally I haven't had that. So this time I had. So, and also good practice for next season when everybody's going to get a point for fastest lap. So if those situations arrive on those races, then could do that as well. So it was good practice that last part of the race.
Now, Anthony, late in the going, you were actually closing the gap to Finish Boy. Did you think you might have been able to pull it off before you had that spin in the late going?
Mm, I was gonna try something, you know. Oh,
Unfortunately, that fell
excuse
apart.
me. But yeah, I was gonna try something. I was just gonna push the cars, you know, 'cause I couldn't feel the car again. I had the wrong anti-roll on it, and I just figured to push, and kind of ended up like France, spun out.
And then we have the man of the hour, Brother Bro Wilson, Dennis Graham. Congratulations on your podium finish. That was a lot of fun to watch. You gave us something to watch there towards the end. How's it feel to pick up that podium position?
It feels great to be the last finisher. uh, I was not having fun with the setup. I kept spinning, bad setup, bad drive. But I saw at the end I was going to make one more crack at that fast lap. No one finished was going to push on the last lap to see if I could do something with that because I had the fast lap, but I knew he was going to grab it if he had the chance. And I was going to pit one more time, but then I noticed Robert CCS was unmanned, and I was catching up to him. I'm like, but I want the spot. No, I want the lap. No, I want the spot. So I chose the spot, although I don't know if I could have matched that lap by finish anyway.
I think you chose right because, I mean, it was really nothing less than spectacular. I mean, to pass the car twice essentially to gain the one spot, you definitely put in some good consistent lap times. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I think it was hard fought and well deserved considering the way the race went. Because it seemed like every time I picked up on you, you were spinning out. So
Yeah, that is. It was like somebody kept grabbing the parking brake or something.
it sounds like you and Anthony both struggled with setups here at COTA. It looks like Finish was the only one to nail it as far as a race setup goes. So, Anthony, you think you got anything for Finish going towards the end of this season? I mean, the points gap's going to be even a little further now than it was before.
Yeah. Um. Well, all, all I can do is race my butt off. That's all I can do. I mean, Finn has always been fast. I mean, I think he was sandbagging a couple of races, just making my heart race. Uh, so you know, these last two races, I know Finn is fast at Abu Dhabi and well, fast everywhere. He can, you know, run the car long, save fuel, save ERS, save tires. Me, I just burn it all up. But next season, uh, I think I am going to do like he does, a race setup. Forget all that time trial stuff and trying to figure out how to manipulate those setups. I'm gonna just start fresh and start my own. I'm not gonna look at anything. I'm gonna just do what I do. I'll look at times so I can catch them, but you know,
And
I,
Finn,
I'll figure it out.
do you feel any pressure from Anthony in the last couple of races? I mean, he's still mathematically in it, but you could lock it up next race.
Yeah, of course, he's been pushing me the whole season, and both the Red Bull cars have pushing me the whole season. So it's been a really big effort to get back up there. There was a few races where I was struggling a little bit, and these guys were really fast, and I had to use all the tools that I have in my toolbox to even keep up with these guys. But I know always that the last part of the season, there's many tracks that suit my driving style really well, and I've been able to get the setup work as well the way that I wanted. So it's always a big process when you start a new season and new game. You everything a little bit changes, so you try different things and they don't work, and then you go back in and you start to work, and usually at the last part of the season you start to get everything like you want it. So
And
it's
Dennis, do you think
big
you think you can
process.
carry this momentum into the next round? Maybe put some more points on the board. Maybe get another podium here towards the end of this season, just to cap it off.
Maybe if I don't try to use that borrowed setup from Austria for the time trial again. if I if I can buy a setup and figure out how to get rid of the latency in the wheel setup in this game. What I couldn't figure out on the setups, and maybe somebody can help me. Maybe Codemasters borrowed some people from Slightly Mad Studios because it see the more downforce I put on the rear, the looser the rear end got. Can't figure that one out. But yeah, I'll give it a shot, and we'll see how it goes. And hopefully, my perfect attendance for every lap of the race will gain me another high finish.
And that touches on something I did not know. Some of those minor notes. So no DNFs this year for you then at all.
Uh, really? Oh, okay. So I haven't disconnected. Yeah, I've slogged it out. Just to try to finish. I get to a point where I want to give up. I was like, well, I'm almost there. Finish it up. Finish it up. Maybe someone will crash.
I mean, you definitely lucked out today. I mean, I got a feeling that I feel like Donnie and Robert both looked at it and thought maybe they weren't going to lose any more positions than they already had. But I think Robert was wrong in that respect. I don't think he raged quit. I think he just looked at it and said, you know what, I'm a lap ahead, and I don't need to finish this race
that's what
out.
I thought. Maybe I couldn't catch him if he was on auto drive. I think maybe that's what he thought.
So that's again proper drive from you, and I think it pays off in the end. So congratulations to Finish Boy, Anthony Johnson, and Brother Bro Wilson Dennis Graham bringing home the podiums. Also the only drivers remaining on track at the end of the race. So
Yeah.
But for anybody that's watching,
Only
be sure to
survivors.
check us out here on KAMIKAZE-FOX. That's me. Check out my channel, like, subscribe, and comment. We're going to have the rest of the Ministries of Speed F1 season here on my channel. If you want to catch up on previous videos, shoot on over to Six Gun Johnny's channel and check it out. He's got all the race videos. He's also got a lot of practices that are done throughout the week. So be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to Six Gun Johnny. And then also, if you want to check out the SRL and IRL channels that I talked about earlier, be sure to check them out as well. And 2 weeks' time, guys, we're going to be running round 19. What's the next track?
Mexico.
Mexico.
Mexico. That should be interesting. So be sure to check us out 2 weeks' time. Same bat channel. We'll catch you at the next round.